the game was different, right? The rules was different. The ball was different.
The Euro style is different in America.
The Euro style was a lot different than America.
That's the first time y'all seen that Euro step too, huh?
Absolutely.
I'd like to welcome Coach Lewis Wilson. He is the head coach of Texas Tyler University down in Texas. Prior to that, he's been coaching in Division I. He's been a head coach at Division II before. Coach, it's great to have you this evening on the show.
It's good to be with you, my guy. It's good to be with you.
Great.
Let's go. Yeah. Good to be with the expert in hip-hopology.
Man, I try, man. I'm trying to teach you, man. I'm trying to bring you along for the ride, man.
Yo, man, you're my hip-hop guru. Okay, I all things hip-hop. You my guy.
I appreciate it. Right, Coach. So, can you give us a brief history of your coaching background?
Oh, brief, man. I'm in my 29th college coaching season at the NCAA level. Started at Southern Utah University in 1992. Was there for 6 years. Went to Idaho State for 8 years. Went to Cal State Northridge as an associate head coach for 4. Was a head coach at Adams State University for 5 years. Was at Utah State as an assistant coach for 3, Grand Canyon for a year, and I'm in my second year at the University of Texas at Tyler as a head men's basketball coach, taking the program from Division III to Division II in the Lone Star Conference.
Hey, I like it, man. Well-traveled, well-versed, and been all through the coaching ranks. So hopefully we'll get some stuff. This is predominantly for players, but definitely a man of your wisdom. Hopefully we get some stuff, some gems for some coaches, young coaches out there. Right. So the first question is a vague estimate. It doesn't have to be a complete total number. How many international players have you recruited and have played for you on your program?
Well, I would say probably 10 to 15. I've had 10 to 15 at least. At Adams State, we had a lot of. We count South America as international. Or do we have to go over the waters to the other side?
We can count South America.
Because I actually have 2 young men on my team this year. One is from Slovakia, Milan Zabo, 6'10" center. Who's a transfer from Cochise Junior College in Arizona. Really skilled player, really intelligent basketball player, good athlete, excellent student, 4.0 student. He came here as a junior college academic All-American.
Wow.
And then the other kid we have right now is Roche Groupfarm, who's a transfer from Utah State, and he's from Suriname. And when he told me Suriname, I told him he was making up countries. I said, you got Syria and Vietnam somehow mixed up. But there is a Suriname down by Guyana in South America. And that's where he's from, a small country down there. But I've been blessed, man, to coach 10, probably at least, I'd say close to 15 to 20 international players from various countries. Of course, when I was at Grand Canyon, we had a few guys from Australia. Love Australians, coached an Australian kid at Adams State as well. He was a really good center for us. Coached 3 or 4 Brazilian kids at Adams State University. So I've been blessed, man, to coach several kids from outside of America. Nice. We won't even talk about the Canadian kids. they're I don't know. You can count them in, depending on, That's like a 51st state, man. You can't.
Yeah. That's the real North. Okay. Why would you, over the years, and even now as a head coach, you're looking for you're always looking for new talent, new recruits. Why would you recruit an international player over a domestic one? And what's the biggest difference that you found in between the two?
Well, first off, and this in coaching, the most important thing is character and talent, and they to me are the same thing, because if you have talent and you lack character, you're not talented enough. And if you have a lot of character and you're not very talented, maybe you can be, something else, but you're probably not going to play at the collegiate level. So those things go hand in hand. And quite frankly, it doesn't matter where you're from if you have those two things at a level where you could help us win. That being said, one of the great things about international players, non-American domestic players, is in America we got 50 states, and the recruiting is competitive. And I grew up in Alaska, and Alaska's really recruited, and Maine is really recruited, and Rhode Island's really recruited. So there are very few secrets, and the beauty of the international market, the world, is that you're not as it's not as much competition. You can spread out. You can find more niches in recruiting in different areas. And that the other thing is, young people that have been, when they're 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 miles away from home, the maturity level, when they make the choice to be with you, they tend to be way more mature, than some of the domestic kids. If they have problems, they're not, they can't pick up the phone and run home to mom as easy. So they got to work those things out. I think there's a toughness that comes with that. Again, having grown up in Alaska in a very remote place, when I went off to college, I can relate to that, because it's like, hey, yeah, it's tough and everybody gets homesick, but the reality is I can't go home. So I got to tough it out. I got to stick it out. And I find that to be true in a lot of international kids. The other thing I love about it is when you've seen the world, you're not just your maturity, but there's a worldliness, there's an intelligence, that comes with that, so an 18-year-old kid from a different country who has competed at different levels in other countries, there's just a maturity and an intelligence level and an emotional intelligence level that I think is a little advanced than from, say, a local high school kid. So I think there's a lot of advantages, starting with the fact that the recruiting market is not as flooded. You have many countries. There's not just 50 states. And people are, if you're good, you could be in Bangladesh. If you're good, recruiting services will find you. But at the same time, if you open up your horizons in your program, you give yourself a chance to, there's so much good basketball being played all across the globe, everywhere. There's good players everywhere. And so I like that. And I love just the experience that I have in terms of the character of international kids.
I love that. Definitely. I think that, the fact that it's less competition, and from the kids that I've spoken to, the majority, or the ones that I've worked with, a lot of them are mature because they are leaving home. They have no choice. They've got to figure stuff out. Sink or swim kind of thing. So definitely. The other thing I was going to tell you, not to cut you off, it's like American kids, we're and I'm an American kid, so I feel like I can say this. You can represent.
We've had so much, there's so many things that we tend to take for granted. We grow up in the AAU culture, and people telling us how great we are, and it's like, everybody's going to Duke and North Carolina, not realizing those schools are limited to 13 scholarships. And so I think there's a tendency to take things for granted, because things that you have so easy in terms of the access to them, I think you could take that for granted, whereas like I was at Adams State, a very remote area, Alamosa, Colorado, 4 hours from any airport. I talked to a kid, from Czech Republic, and, to him, it's like, we're in Colorado, it's the mountains, the snow, it's similar home to him. He's not sitting there tripping off of the fact that you're 4 hours from the Denver airport when he's going to be 18 hours from home. It's like, to him, what difference does it make, right? So it's like, I appreciate that. And as coaches, we always talk about, we want toughness. You want these things. And then it's like toughness and some of those things that you want, you can't teach it. You have to recruit it. And experience builds that, right? That character is developed through the experiences they have. So there are things that make it tough because it's harder to learn about kids because you can't do as much extensive recruiting. We got to rely on good friends like you and build that trust, man. And I trust you, and that's a key to recruiting internationally is having relationships with guys like you. But that's a chance. That's a little bit of a risk because you don't get to put eyes on those players as much. But I think everything else is a complete positive.
Now, talking about the recruitment and, not having eyes and all the rest of it, can you explain the recruiting process? So from start to finish, like how normally would you find out about a kid? And then when when you're intrigued, I guess, what's the next, what are the next steps?
Well, the process, and everybody's process is different, right? But I think the first thing in the process is that you have to evaluate your needs, make a needs assessment. Because this is the thing. It's like, yeah, I want that. Yeah, I want that. Yeah, I want that. But the bottom line is, what do you need? What's important? So the first thing you do is it's an assessment. Assess your needs, right? The second thing you do is you evaluate the talent within your needs and the people that you have a chance to get at. And so you rely on friends, you rely on video, you rely on, the evaluations you made live in games. Obviously if it's an international kid, you're relying on the film that you've gotten, the contacts that you've made. So after you've assessed your needs, you evaluate what talent is in the talent pool that you might have an opportunity to get at. So assessment, evaluation, and then to me, it's after the evaluation process, you're going out, you're seeing kids, you're talking to kids on the phone. It becomes an education. I really see it that way. I see recruiting as educating. It's not about selling anything. It's about me educating. You're looking for school. I'm looking for a player, right? And so my job is not to sell you. My job is to educate you. Okay. This is what we have to offer. This is what I believe separates us and makes it uniquely good opportunity for a specific kid. And I believe that education process, because I think in recruiting, you got to build a good enough relationship with a kid where it's tough in the end for them to tell you no, but you got to give them something to say yes to. And I think that's all part of that educational and relationship development process. After you've assessed your needs, evaluated the talent pool, educate the recruit, then I would say develop in the relationships with the prospective student athlete and the people that are close to them, their coaches at various levels, both scholastic coaches and their club teams, the girlfriends, boyfriends, grandmas, whoever. You develop relationships with anybody that's close, not only because you want to recruit them, but because you need to know about them and you need to learn about that kid. So assess needs, evaluate talent, educate the recruit on what is of value in your program, develop a relationship with the recruit and the person. And I think the bottom line, I used to be in sales. We used to always say you have to ask for the order. You got to let them know that you want them to be in the program. And so if you look at it in that way, it's a process: assessment, evaluation, development of relationship, education, development of relationship, and then you got to call it to action, and that's about visiting them, bringing them to campus, going to visit them in their home, in their environment, to go see the people that you've developed relationship with, and ultimately putting an offer on the table for them so that they know exactly where you stand and that they can make a good decision.
Good informed. Coach, that was beautiful. I don't think I've heard that process articulated like that before. And I think that's great, especially the educational side, because you do hear a lot of coaches and I guess programs are selling their programs, but like as you said, and I like that terminology. You're educating. It's like, hey, I'm not selling you anything. I'm letting you know what we can do for you. Right. And after that, hopefully our goals align. And then it's a mutual beneficiary.
Exactly. The mutual benefit is really the key to the deal, because you want that kid is making a decision at that point in their life. They're making the most monumental decision of their life, where they're going to spend their time in their education. If I'm selling you something, I can convince you to do that, but you may have buyer's remorse. If I educate you on what we have to offer and you're making a decision based on facts and they align, it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like a kid says with their parents, in conjunction with their parents and their coaches and the people that are important to them, these are the things I'm looking for. Well, if the University of Texas at Tyler, or wherever I've been, if those things don't align, it doesn't benefit me for you to be unhappy, for you to have that buyer's remorse. I want you to come in saying this, I made this decision. It's a fact-based decision. It's not about you beat down the competition. It does me no good to rip the people that are recruiting you, because the truth is a good education is a good education. And you can get that at a lot of places. And most coaches at the college level, almost all that I know, they're the elite coaches. So there's not going to be bad coaching. You're not going to separate that way. And Nike uniforms, Adidas uniforms are going to be free. The gear is going to be nice. You're going to eat well. Every visit anybody's ever had is usually pretty good. It's like taking a girl to the prom. If she don't look good on prom night, it's better run, right? So it's like all that stuff is the same. Bottom line is it a place that's going to make you a better person? Is it a place that is going to help to develop you as a student? And is it a place that's going to help to maximize you as an athlete? And so you put on the table exactly what it is. You are transparent. What is it that you have that makes you a separator and that makes it, mutually beneficial for that athlete to be in your program?
I like it. Controversial question now. I'm going to put you on the hot seat.
Oh, let's do it.
You don't have to give a name. I'm not going to press you for a name, but has there ever been a situation where you've wanted a player, you've educated him, and then you're like, actually, I don't really want this kid? Like it doesn't align for you, but he's talented. Has there been any situation?
Yeah. That happens quite a bit because, and it's not so much that you don't want that kid. It's also about recruiting process is also about like if I need a one, I'm not recruiting one point guard. Yeah. So there may be 5 or 6. And you're out there over your skis a little bit. Maybe it's the 5th kid on your depth chart who says, yeah, coach, I'm ready to go. And you're sitting there going, whoa, wait a minute. Hey, well, you're talking over with your mom, and you get with your mom and your dad and talk to some people. I'll call you back in 10 days. So it's like, yo, man, it's like, I like you. You're good enough, but number 4, number 2, number 1, they're all still with me. I'm just. So yeah, that happens.
I love it.
That's the first call you make. This is a true story. A kid at Idaho State, man, back in the early 2000s. I saw him play at Pumps in LA, man, and he was good. He was a good player. I liked him, but I, maybe came on too strong. My mat game was too strong. The first call, I'm like, hey man, love the way you play. You go hard. I would love to coach you, be in your life, all these things. And he said, coach, are you serious? I said, yeah, you play well. You did this. I could talk to him about his game. He said, well, coach, hold on, I'm gonna talk to my mom because if she's with it, I'm gonna commit to you guys. I was like, huh?
You're like,
I was like, man, I had to go back and reference my notes. I was like, man, I hope this kid is as good as I said, because the very first phone call, he's ready to commit.
It was a done deal.
He said, man, I'll call you right back. That kid actually signed with us, played with us for 4 years, was a good player. But it was like, yeah, he committed the first phone conversation. I was like, wow. I just saw you 2 weeks ago in July. I'm just making an introductory call in August, and he got geeked when committed. I was like, man, I know we're trying to get these 3 other kids, but
that is hilarious. I love it. Oh man. Back to the recruiting process. How valuable is highlight tape? How much influence does a highlight tape have on you signing a player or you being interested in a player? Just your thoughts on that.
You know, COVID's been really bad, right, for the world.
Yeah.
You know how bad things happen, but some good things can come out of a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like you and I are talking, right? We're utilizing a platform that people really didn't know much about a year ago.
Yeah, not at all.
Would have loved to have bought some stock in it. I wish I'd had the foresight to have done that. We'd be sailing in a yacht somewhere, out to France. But one of the things that has come about, Coach, through COVID, is because recruiting has the way we have been forced to recruit, not being able to go on the road as much, those type of different things. Highlight films have become exceptionally valuable.
Okay.
There were maybe 2 years ago, people go, I hate highlight films. You know, they don't tell you anything. Now we're devouring highlight films. It's because that's we've been limited in how we can recruit. Yeah. And so I think highlight films that are well done, I think they're very, very important. They always have been, because I think every piece to a puzzle that completes a puzzle helps you. You know, it may not be the central piece, but it's a piece to a puzzle that completes a story. So I like highlight films because one of the things I enjoy about a highlight film is it's the best you have to offer.
Okay.
If I'm watching the highlight film, because again, recruiting and evaluation, when I make the assessment of what I need, remember, step one is assessing my needs. Step two is evaluating what the pool is that I can go into to get players.
Yeah.
Well, the process of elimination is much more valuable to me than the process of addition.
Okay.
So I would like to say, you say no more than you say, yes, I'm going to recruit that kid. So if you send me a highlight film and I'm seeing the best you have to offer and that don't whet my appetite, I can move through it.
Okay.
You understand? Yeah. So I think that's really important. I think it's a piece to a story. But it also depends on how people construct their highlight films. I think it's really important to me, and everybody's different. I want to see a full game on that film.
Okay.
Because I want to get a sense of how you play in a game structure, not just what you did in moments. I want to see how you handled adversity. I want to feel how you handle success. I want to see how you're interacting with people. I want to see what type of team you played on, what impact you had on your team, what moments the coach is going to you, how they perceive you. I really want to watch a game film to see what your feel for your game is. And so I think the best is when you can combine, you put a highlight thing together for 6 to 10 minutes max, right? And then you have game footage on there. So you whet my appetite, right? It's like the film is a steak and that highlight is the sizzle.
Okay.
Right? That's going to bring me in, but that steak's got to be good, man.
It's got to be.
So I need to see some film. I need to see what's up.
Okay. I feel you. What's the best way for an international player to get a college coach's attention? How would they get themselves recruited? Okay, we've just said the highlight tape. How else? I'm a stud. I'm playing in Albania, and I think I got what it takes. I think my highlight tape is great. How do I get your attention?
I think, and this as a coach, our fraternity is pretty tight, and we I got 3 guys on staff, a lady on staff, and 3 guys. Those people are going to have the most profound impact on my recruiting process. But guys like you mean a lot to me. And so if you call me on the phone and say, hey, man, I got somebody for you, you have to take a look. I'm going to look. I'm going to look. My staff cannot be limited to the 3 or 4 people, or you have no chance to recruit internationally, right? So I think the number one way to be seen is to be heard, is to have someone on your behalf make a phone call, a contact to say, hey, I'm going to send you this film. Because we get so much video, so much film, you get overwhelmed. But if you get on the phone and say, you put your name on something, I'm much more likely to at least take a close look because you are somebody that I have a relationship with. That way, you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, I think that's central. So just sending film without that testimonial, without that direct, someone to represent you to the staff, I think it's hit or miss for an international kid. They might watch you, they might not watch you. You probably are not going to get looked at as closely as somebody who that staff has a relationship with, who calls, you may be from Albania and they call from Tasmania and say, I got a kid, and it can be the same position. And now that reference is going to put that person ahead. So I think reference is the most important thing, complemented with a highlight film. And those things, I always say, follow the money, right? They say follow the money in everything. And this was my advice to kids. Follow the money. You want to know how serious the school is about recruiting. Based on the investment of their time, how much money does it cost a coach to watch your film? Nothing really. How much money does it cost a coach to be on the phone with you? A little more than watching the film. How much money does it cost a coach to come watch one of your games? A lot more money than that phone call. How much money does it cost that coach to bring you to his campus? More money than it does to go to do that. And then ultimately, the scholarship is more money in all of it. So if you just follow that process, it's like, don't say you're being recruited just because somebody watched your film. That costs that coach no money. And if you follow the money, you'll know exactly where you're at. If that coach is talking to you on the phone, there's a little more interest in just watching the film. If that coach is coming to a game, then he's investing a little more money and time, because time is the most valuable commodity any of us have, right? And then if he's coming to visit your home, particularly overseas, he's investing some money in you. He's serious, okay? And if he's bringing you to his campus, you better believe he's even more serious. And then the bottom line is he putting a piece of paper in front of you with a pen and saying, sign it? So that's my advice to kids anywhere, but especially an international kid, that way you're trying to get a sense of how serious people are for you. So, for me, it's like I make those decisions based on people like you talking to me, knowing what events are going on, overseas, the international events that go on in different markets, in Europe, obviously, and other places overseas. And so, working camps overseas, a lot of coaches are in the camps, particularly in the continent of Africa. You go over there and do some basketball things, and coaches act like they're going over there because they're, about building basketball, and really
back.
hoping they run into a 7'1" Akeem Olajuwon over there, right? But so that's what it's about. But the international market has exploded. The top team in the country, Gonzaga, the base of that program, is built on Australian market, international kids, and you look across anymore, it's like everybody has somebody, from a different place other than the United States. It's pretty commonplace. And so it's just, and I think it's philosophical, how coaches go about stuff. For me, I always say, hey man, they tell me Hades is pretty hot, but if they tell me Hades has got a player, I'm gonna put on a suit and go down there and hang out with old Lucifer and see if I can get me a guy.
I feel you. That's funny. What should a freshman expect coming into a program? From playing time to, I guess maybe hazing, or, what should a first year, first year coming out of England, what am I supposed to expect?
Well, first off, if there's hazing, you're part of the family as far as I'm concerned. So your brothers have to protect you from that. Now, the hazing you may get is you might be carrying a bag into the airport for a senior. They may make you sing at the talent show. Our freshman this year at the talent show, everybody got to pick their own talent, but he had to do a Lizzie routine.
Hey.
You know, so you know, I thought he did the best job, quite frankly, because I'm a Lizzie fan, to be honest with you. So you know, so I was like, hey, what's up? You know, that was like that right there was fire. That was good. Okay, so you might get some of that. So I don't think you should expect anything. You know, there's quite a crackdown on hazing. Other than fun, people having fun, nothing dangerous. I think what you have to expect, to be honest with you, is you have to expect that the adjustment's going to be tough, no matter where you go. Anytime you're leaving your home country and your family and the things that you are used to, there's going to be an adjustment period. And so I think you need to expect that. I think if you've legitimately allowed your recruiting process to be an education experience as opposed to a selling experience, I think you should expect the truth to be told to you, and that what they said was going to be done is going to be done, and what they said it was going to be about is going to be about. I think you should expect to be with coaches that have your best interests, and that it's going to be tough because college is different than high school. And the difference is not that the court is much bigger, the rims don't get higher, the rules don't change that much, but players are bigger, faster, and stronger. So you're going to have to adjust to bigger, faster, and stronger. Now you got, where you're in high school, you might have only had 2 coaches. You probably got 6 coaches, including strength and conditioning. And everything you do is micro-analyzed. So what you might have got away with in a gym, you know, at prep school or somewhere, you're not getting away with that. And the intensity picks up quite a bit. The competition is extreme because everybody on a college team was a superstar somewhere, or they wouldn't have gotten recruited. They were the best of where they were at. Whereas in high school, you're playing with maybe a couple of decent players on your team that are collegiate level, if you're a good high school team. Well, on a college team, generally, everybody's a college player, and everybody had success where they were, and everybody has an expectation. There's going to be a high level of competition. People are going to be battling and competing for playing time. I think you should expect that just because people are your friends doesn't mean that they're not going to try to decimate you on the court. It ain't show friends, it's show business.
Hey, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Right? So it's like, so I think you got to expect that. I think you should expect to have a good time. You made that decision to go. I think you should expect. I think most kids have a good time, a good experience. But I think it's going to be an adjustment. I think there's going to be some fun play. I think it's going to be highly competitive and highly spirited. I think the coaching is going to be exponentially more tough than wherever you came from, because there's going to be more of those coaches and a higher expectation and standard. I think things like strength training and conditioning are going to be the hardest you've ever experienced in your life. And the last thing I'd say, whether you're domestic or international, I think you should expect that your rear end's not going to get kissed all the time, because there's a high probability that you're not going to be the best player if you're just coming in. And so those days are probably over. The other thing is, the recruiting process is totally different than the actual playing process. You know, everybody telling you how much they love you and how much they need you and how much they want you and how important. It's not that they're lying to you, it's the truth. But once you're there, we got to move from all of that to getting you better. Okay. And so it's a difference, and you need to understand things are going to change. It's not always going to be about wining and dining you and feeding you and taking you to the restaurants you want to go to and being on a great recruiting trip. And coach always, every time I talk to Coach Wilson, he's so nice to me. And then all of a sudden he's chewing my butt out about playing defense. And it's like, yeah, that's what's going to happen. You're going to get coached. Hopefully, in the education process, the coaches are transparent. They tell you, these are the things you can expect to happen. This is how I'm going to deal with you. That's what I try to do. I love to be able to look at my guys. Look at them now when things are tough. I look at them, I said, did I tell you this was going to be the hardest thing you ever go through? They go, yeah, you did. I said, well, then you should have believed me.
Coach, I love it. You know what? And this is why this season on the EuroStepping, why I'm having coaches on, because especially what you just said, there was a number of players that were on last season and they said, coaches were completely different as soon as I got on campus. Coach came in and they said all these nice things and bells and whistles and pixie dust, and then as soon as I got on campus, they were completely different. And like having coaches like yourself come on and say, like, this is a part of maturation. It's, hey, we want you because of your talents, but now we're trying to get those talents somewhere else.
Absolutely. We're training you. We're coaching you. There's a difference, right? It should not be where you feel misled. You understand? That's why in any relationship, this, think of the people that mean the most to you. They're the people who are the most honest with you. You understand what I'm saying? We don't trust all the people we love, but we love all the people we trust.
Yes.
And that's real. And so that's built on honesty. And, even if the coach is being really charismatic and always joking and talking to you about what music you like and your clothes and your sneakers and all those conversations, and all of a sudden all he talks to me about is getting my butt to class on time and da-da-da. It's like, yeah, because he's now your parent.
Yeah.
He's got, there's still that in him, and hopefully he or her will do a good job of balancing the personality. But the truth is, they should tell you exactly what you should expect. But there's a development process. We got to get to work. I can't just go around telling you how great you are and how badly we want you. We wanted you so bad that we invested a scholarship in you, and you're here. Now it's time for you to work and for us to help you to get better, or you're not going to be here for very long.
Coach, I love it. What's your views on junior college versus prep schools versus academies, and where is it preferential to recruit a player from, or is there a preference in which establishment these guys go?
I think a lot of that just depends on the university you represent. Some schools are not conducive to transfers because of their academic requirements, and for graduation purposes, some schools just have different academic standards, and it's not conducive for that. Most of my career has been, recruiting transfers, junior college kids, prep school kids. I'm a junior college graduate myself, so I understand that, we're not always the full and complete package. People go to junior college either because they're flawed as a player, flawed as a student, flawed as a person, or maybe a little bit of all of it, right? We're broken in some places and need some development. And some coaches do better coaching transfers than others. Some coaches' systems are not conducive to players only being there 2 years. Okay? So I think it's different for everybody. My particular preference is that I put it this way. I would rather have a good player for 4 years than a good player for 2. But you ever see those stickers on the back of people's cars on their bumpers? My son is a 3.5 student at Manigault High School. And then you see a beat up van come by. My son beat up your 3.0 student at Manigault High School. That's the way I see junior college and high school kids. It's like, okay, I got the McDonald's All-American. Well, my dudes like to eat at McDonald's, and we're going to kick your butt. So to me, I think it's like whatever your situation lends. If you're from a program without a lot of resources, money is important, and you don't have a lot of resources, junior college recruiting is very valuable, because when you go to a JUCO game, you probably are going to see 5 to 10 prospects between the two teams. Okay? Not all of them are good enough. Some of them are too good for you, but there are 5 to 10 4-year prospects on that floor, right? Whereas a high school game, I'm coming to see you play in England. That's a lot of money to watch probably one guy on the court. Yeah. And if you're not good enough, it's not like I can sit there and go, well, there's going to be 5 or 6 other dudes. So you have to have that kind of money. You got to have that Duke money, right? Yeah. And you have those resources to be able to do that. That's why schools at a lower resource level will recruit JUCO kids. It's also cheaper to recruit junior college kids because JUCO kids have been away from home for 2 years. They almost, mom and dad at that point go, I don't really care where you go. Make sure you're happy. Make sure they take care of you, and make sure they give you a full ride, because I ain't got no money. So it's like you don't have to recruit 25 people. You got to recruit him.
Yeah.
Right? So that's really important. So it's like, what do you prefer? I prefer what my needs. That's why when I make an assessment of my needs at the beginning of the process, you think about all that. It's like, we need a young 4-man. We've got 2 4-men who are stacked in their classes. I got to get a young kid in here who I could potentially redshirt. Well, then you open it up. I really like prep school kids a lot because prep school kind of gives you the best of both worlds, right? Mm-hmm. They are away from home, right? Mm-hmm. They are playing at a higher level of competition than high school.
Yes.
They haven't used any years of eligibility.
Yep.
So prep school, if you can get a good prep school player, you're really in good shape.
Okay, that's the kind of like a.
So I would say that's probably the best if all things are equal. But it really comes down to, I got to assess my needs. And the number one thing, hey man, money makes the world go round, my guy. It's like, it depends on, I was at Adams State. We were balling on a budget for real. And so it's like, I got to go to places where there's going to be a lot of prospects. I got one day of recruiting. I can afford to go out 3 times a whole year. So when I go out, I got to see a lot of guys. I can't, somebody say, hey, I got this kid in Illinois. You need to come watch him. I'm like, I ain't got no money to go watch one kid in Illinois. You got to call me and say, hey, there's going to be 100 kids.
Okay.
Okay. And so money drives those decisions.
I love it. How hard is it for an international student athlete to integrate into a program? What's the best way for an international student to be kind of like welcomed in? Like, what do you, well, not specifically to you, but you can talk about what do you do? Like, what should an international kid do to kind of feel a part of the furniture?
I think that's a great question, by the way, because I think acclimating is challenging. It's challenging to be from Texas and go to school in Florida. You know what I mean? Going from state to state. So going from a country to a place, I used to work at Southern Utah University, and that's back when I had my hair, man. This is back in the early 90s. I was fly back then. I had the S curl going on in my hair. Hey, man, but I used to tell my boss, man, all the time, he says, why is it so challenging here? I said, Coach, because when you live in a culture where you can't go in the store and get the hair care products you need, go to a church that, that they're delivering the message in the way that you're used to hearing it. The things that you take for granted, going to the grocery store and pick up the foods you normally used to eat, these kind of things. So I think the things that international kids got to be able to do is, I think in that decision-making process, you've got to find a place that is going to challenge you, but at the same time, it's not going to be so far out of left field that it's going to be hard for you to acclimate. Okay. And so I think if you come from a tropical place, you might want to be careful about if you're going to school in Alaska. And I'm from Alaska. I'm just saying that's going to make that adjustment period really, really hard. I think the things that you can do that are tangible is, one, I highly recommend that every international kid gets to campus as early as they possibly can. Okay. If there's a summer session, get there. Get all those things out of the way early before it counts against you. You know what I mean? Get that out of your system. Get a feel for the town. Get a lay of the land. Definitely be there for orientation. Okay? Get outside just the basketball thing. Get a feel for as many people to build your support network as you can get. And most schools now can bring you in the summer. And so if you have a chance to be in the summer, you need to be there for sure. That really helps. I think that helps the acclimation process. I think the other thing is that I think being honest and having a good relationship with the coaching staff to talk honestly about the things that you're concerned about. And if they're good, they're going to do things like what we're going to do is make sure we partner you with people that like your suite mate or your apartment person is somebody that's going to do a good job with you. And nurturing you and helping to bring you, along and helping you to acclimate to the culture if you don't have experience with the particular culture you're going to be in. I think that's really important. I think coaches who just take a kid, like, it would be no difference. I took a kid from Mississippi and brought him to Washington and act like that's normal, you're going to lose that kid eventually. You have to be proactive as a coach and making sure that you are taking care of that kid right away and anticipating problems and where they may be, all the way from who he's rooming with, who you have around him, and talking smartly. You say to one of your seniors, hey, look out for Milan. Milan's from such and such place. And one of the things we do also is we spend a lot of time as a team getting to know each other. And I do a thing called TILT, things I learned today. And we have guys on the team teach us things. They do a 30, 40-minute presentation to the team. And it's random. It's like, okay, this week it's going to be you. And a lot of the international guys, what they end up doing is teaching us about where they come from. Because they love to talk about where they're from, because they want to educate you. So we can get all these stupid questions that you have out of the way right now. Right? Like you probably get, do you guys really put gravy on your fries all the time?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's like, and so like I grew up in Alaska, and if I had $1 for every time somebody asked me about an igloo. So giving people an opportunity to talk about where they're from and what's going on, what's the reality of their circumstance. I think that helps kids, man. I think the staff you're with has got to recognize they have a responsibility to help you to assimilate.
Okay. Oh man. I'm guessing it's often people ask you about igloos, huh?
Igloos and dog sleds, man. And in the dark there all the time. And man, it's like, man, how do you live there? It's 90 below. It's like all these things, and Americans, we are special, right? Because we know where we're at, and where we're at, like Cali, everybody in California, Texas. So you think that where you live is the greatest place on earth, that is God's country only. And we think anywhere else in the world, forget about it. I'm not sure most people in America know that Alaska is actually part of the 50 states.
Coach, I'm here in New Mexico, and I've got family in Atlanta and Florida currently. And, I'm on phone calls and they're like, where are you again? Mexico. No,
Mexico. Yeah.
Like, no, Mexico. Like, no, New Mexico. Like, oh, so, getting past it. What's it like over there? I heard it's dangerous. Yeah. It's next to Texas.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, New Mexico was crazy because my guy, Milan, who's from Slovakia, Milan Zabo, he spent all summer and the quarantine stuff period with his girlfriend in Albuquerque.
Hey, okay.
And so we'd be talking on the phone. I said, does it just drive you crazy? He goes, yeah, coach. I talk to people and they go, are you afraid because Trump's building the wall there? It's like, no.
Oh, I love it, man. I'm like, dude, it's one of your states.
It's a state.
Oh, geez.
They're like, have you been to Tijuana? It's like, oh, man. Oh, boy.
I love it.
Hey, geography is not required.
I definitely tell. What is typically covered in a full scholarship, versus a D1 school versus a D2 school? What's a half scholarship? What's conference to conference? Is a full scholarship different in conferences levels? Like, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Division I, NCAA Division I. A scholarship, if I give you $1, I've got to give you every dollar it costs to go to school to pay for your room, board, books, tuition, and fees. That's what a scholarship is: room, board, books, tuition, fees. And at the Division I level, I'm also allowed to give you the cost of attendance, which could be room, board, books, tuition, and fees could be $25,000 going to your education. But to another student who's not on an athletic scholarship, it's reported that it costs $30,000 because that covers transportation and some other things. So I could give you up to $5,000 more. Not every school, though, it's based on resources. Not every school at the D1 level gives you the cost of attendance. I was at Grand Canyon. It was one of the most generous costs of attendance stipends you could get. It was like $5,700 a year. And so if you qualify for financial aid, now, international students won't, but if you qualify for financial aid, you got your financial aid check, you got your scholarship check, and you got that cost of attendance check.
So you
I
looking
told
pretty
Coach
good.
Marley, instead of him paying me a salary, I want to be put on scholarship. Those dudes are making more money than the coaching staff. So
I might try and get a highlight tape together this weekend.
yeah, I'm gonna put my highlight reel together. Don't mind my brown socks and loafers. But anyway, so at the D1 level, if they give you $1, they have to give you every dollar that it costs: room, board, books, tuition, and fees. You can't split money up at the D1 level. There's no such thing as a partial scholarship there.
Okay.
It's all full. And on the men's side, you have a maximum of 13 per team.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the women's side is 15.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Because of gender equity, that's a way that they make up, because Title IX, a school has to give scholarships to women commensurate with the student population of females at the school. So if it's 55% female, the scholarships you allocate have to be 55% to females,
Okay.
which football makes that hard because you got 90 dudes running around there on scholarship. So that's why a lot of male sports get dropped at that level, like swimming and, rugby and things like that, those sports, because they have to get those numbers down to push the women's numbers up so that it's commensurate with the percentage of students there. You see, that's how they allocate that. So they give more scholarships on the women's side, okay? At the Division II level, it's a pool of money. So we can give 50 scholarships out, but when you add them together, they cannot equal more than 10 total. Okay. So they're called equivalencies. So I can break them up. I can give you $5 and him $10 and him $20,000. When I add all of it together, it cannot equate to more than 10.
Okay.
But I can break 10 up into as whatever I want to break it up into. Where D1, you can't do that. At the D1 level, to be D1, you have to fund your program at 13 scholarships. At the D2 level, you can fund your program at whatever level you want to. That's why you have a disparity, because some schools fund, like my league is considered a high-level Division II men's basketball league. Most of the schools in this league are fully funded scholarship-wise, 10 fulls. Okay? We're transitioning from Division III to Division II. Okay? And we are very generous, considering that we're making that transition. But at the same time, because we are transitioning, we are not fully funded. We're not fully funded like some of the schools in our league. So I don't have the full 10 to break up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's the difference in the scholarship. You get a D1 scholarship, you're going to have a full ride. You get a D2 scholarship, you could have a full ride. You could have 50%. You could have 20%. There again, follow the money. How much money are they investing in you?
That is great. Coach, I didn't understand. See, and this is why I love doing this stuff, man. Even if the people watching it don't get that much, I'm like a sponge here. Okay, that is amazing. Is a scholarship for the full length of your college career, or is it just a 1 year? If you get a scholarship, you have to keep getting approved year by year. And is it affected by injury as well?
Scholarships at the NCAA, National Collegiate Athletic Association, at Division I and II. Division III, they don't give scholarships for athletics, but the Division I and Division II NCAA scholarships are 1 year renewables. So each year there's an assessment made. The school can they can say they have the intention of giving you a scholarship for 4 years, but when you sign the national letter of intent, it's a 1 year deal. Now, they cannot get rid of you unless you violated the terms of the agreement, like academic failure and something. Injury cannot preclude you. They can't take your scholarship based on injury.
Oh.
Okay. Not during that 1 year period, they can't do that. Also, just in general, they can't take your scholarship money unless they also alert you that you have the right to appeal that to a non-athletic committee to hear your appeal. Now, most people, if a coach tells you they don't want you there, you don't want to stay somewhere where you're not wanted. But a kid needs to know their rights. Yes. It's like, just because a coach says you're not going to be back,
you can go, oh, quite contraire, Mouchier, I'm gonna be back because I'm going to see the committee.
Oh,
and
wow.
that committee hears you. It's a non-biased athletics committee, and they hear it, and the coach has to make a case for why. And you can't go in there talking about he's not good enough.
Man, Coach, I mean, I'm going to be very excited when I release this because I'm recording the 2 seasons side by side, and you know, the 3rd season is going to be the kids that for some reason lost their scholarship, whether injuries or they just didn't fit in. And I've already spoken to a couple of individuals that, you know, coach comes in and says, hey, I'm not bringing you back next year, and I'm guarantee you they didn't know this information. And
oh yeah,
so this is exactly what this program's for, because yeah, it's not. I guess it makes a big difference if you've got nowhere to go and you're like, hey, well, tough. You know what I mean? You got to deal with me. I've got the scholarship, so you know. Right.
Well, what you just tell coach? Well, coach, I'm going to appeal it. You know. Now, you know, coaches get, you know, unfortunately, this is why go with people who educate you as opposed to people who sell you, because you can trust the person who that is trying to help you make a good decision as opposed to trying to force you to do something they want you to do, because then you have a relationship and they're not going to BS you. They're not going to just get rid of you for no reason. Okay. They're going to be honest with you. They're going to say, listen, this might be a level above where you're at. I think you'd be happier playing down a level. I got a friend at such and such place. I've already talked to him. If you're interested, and then they can help you to get a scholarship somewhere else, because ultimately they want you to be happy. If they truly care about you, and hopefully that's why you do your homework, you're with people who truly care about you, you know, but like get rid of a kid. Well, you got injured, you blew your knee out, so you're done. They can't ever get rid of you just based on that.
Nice.
It has to be based on you violating the terms of the contract, the national letter of intent, your signing agreement, or they sit down and say, I don't intend to bring you back. However, you have a right to appeal that. Smart coaches and decent people will say to you, Dan, listen, man, I don't think this is the best situation for you. I'm going to recruit 3 guys over you. You're not going to be very happy. You're probably not going to play very much. Okay. But ultimately it's your decision of whether you want to stay. I'm not going to take your scholarship, but I'm going to be very honest with you that I believe that you're probably not going to be good enough to be an impact player at this level. And then you could most players say, you know, coach, if you feel that way, you know, I'll work hard. Yeah, I know you've been working hard. That's not the problem. Okay. This is probably not the best situation in terms of your development as a player. Now, if playing a lot is important to you, this might not be the place for you. And then if you're a kid who goes, well, coach, playing a lot's not that important, and then the coach is probably going to look at you and go, that's why I need you to move on, because I need people who are playing a lot that's important.
Got him. I love it. I love it. So we're going to move on to, Coach, I'm loving this interview, by the way. This is amazing. I'm going to move on to the actual college experience. What does a typical, you know, college day look like for your athletes? You know, D1, D2. What's the typical overview of a day?
Well, I think in general terms, obviously you have a slate of classes, you know, based on, you know, how those classes are structured. Maybe Monday, Wednesday. Most people Friday, they don't put too many classes there, but, you know, Monday, Wednesday, and then your Tuesday, Thursday class. So we know you have the classes. And during COVID, most of our classes are online, so you don't have in class. You're going to have strength training, you're going to have skill work, and you're going to have practice during a given day. You're probably going to have some type of study hall requirements or tutoring. I can tell you specific, and it depends. It all differs based on the program you're in. I'll give you a University of Texas Tyler day. Okay, 5:45, 3 days a week, 5:45 a.m. Our guys are strength training. They're warming up. They're in the weight room at 6 a.m. At 6:45, you walk back into the gym. Our weight room and gym are connected. You walk back in and we start practice. We're done, you know, about 8:30, between 8:30 and 9 in the morning.
They come back, they have a skill session, and depending on their classes, between 2 and 4. They have their classes interspersed in between. They have study sessions that if you don't have a 2.75 cumulative, or if you're a new student, even if you have a 3.75, at least for a semester, you're going to have study session requirements, and you're going to have 8 hours of that per week. So you're going to have 2 hours of that in the evening. So your day is going to start, get up in the morning at about probably, between 5 and 5:30. You got to be dressed, taped, and ready to go. We call that DTR, and on that line, warming up, getting ready to go into the weight room at 5:45 a.m. So you're getting up at, 5:15, 5:30, and then your day through school and practice and the such and study table is probably going to carry you through 6, 7 o'clock. And then good luck from there. Hopefully you're going to be getting some rest.
I love it. Does the team only train during the preseason and the season? Is there more?
Yeah, it's anymore. Division II, you cannot work with your athletes directly in the summer. That in Division I, you can. Okay. There's a limited amount of hours that you can, but that rule changed 3 to 5 years ago, where they have access to their kids as long as they're registered in summer school. So it's at the D1 level, it's 12 months out of the year. Some coaches are smart; they'll give you a month here or there, but it's year round.
Okay.
And you're mandated. You can't have more than off season. You can't have more than 8 hours of mandated work.
Okay.
Off season.
Okay.
In the summer, it might be 4 hours. And then in the preseason, it's 8. And during the year, it's 20. And that includes strength training, practice, games, everything. And that's pretty much the same for Division II, except that we don't get the 4 hours of summer work. Preseason, we are everything. You start off, you got 8 hours, and that's strength training, conditioning, anything you require a player to do outside of academics.
Okay. What's the brief? Give us a brief overview of the different statuses of play. So like the red shirt, gray shirt, medical red shirt. Like what are those?
Okay, let's start out with the gray shirt. A gray shirt means that you are not taking a full. To be a full-time student in most places, you're 12 units or more, 12 credits or more, right? Most classes are set up in 3. Most are 3 credit. Every class is 3 credits. Yeah. So you have 4 classes a semester. That's the minimum that you take. We require 15 because that tracks your numbers to graduation, because you're averaging 30 a year over 4 years. It usually takes you 120 to 130 hours to get your bachelor's degree. Okay. So if you're a gray shirt, you are going to school, but you're not a full-time student. And because you're not a full-time student, you're not triggering any eligibility of any kind.
Oh, okay.
If you're a red shirt, you're a full-time student. And by the way, if you're a gray shirt, if you're not a full-time student, you cannot practice with the team.
Okay.
Or play with the team. But it gives you a chance to go to college, get acclimated. Give you an example. I coached 11 years in the state of Utah, right? I took 9 years, 6 years at Southern Utah University, 3 years at Utah State University. I was also in Alamosa, Colorado. I bring that up because they're the LDS, Latter-day Saints, the Mormon faith, where those guys go on church missions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what they do is you go on a church mission after your 18th birthday. So you graduate high school and you haven't turned 18, so you're not going on your mission until the school year starts. Maybe you go to school as a gray shirt, you start your academic work, but you're not full time. Then you go on a mission for 2 years. Then you come back and you red shirt to get those 2 years off of you and get in shape. That means your senior year in high school, technically you're really a freshman because you're 4 years removed from when you first start playing. You're like 22 years old and you're a freshman.
Oh, geez.
I always laugh when they show BYU on TV and they go, these guys are so smart. I'm like, yeah, they got 3 kids and a wife. And
a mortgage.
You're a lot older. And that's the benefit. You go on, and you can do the same thing for the military. If you go in the military, that's the only time your clock stops. is when you are the church mission work or military service. Otherwise, at the D1 level, you have 5 years to get 4 years played. Okay. At the D2 level, you have 10 semesters, full-time semesters for your clock to run out. It could stop and start all over the place as long as you don't have delayed enrollment. And delayed enrollment means that, and this was to like some of the secondary sports like soccer, kids were coming from overseas and they were like 29 as freshmen because they played pro sports. So now what they're saying is you have 1 year free after high school. And if you don't start college after that 1 year, they start your clock automatically. So every year that you're sitting out is counting against you. Okay. So a gray shirt, you're not full-time. A red shirt, you are full-time. You are practicing with the team. You're doing everything except playing in games. So you save your eligibility. Gray shirt, you trigger no eligibility. Red shirt, you triggered the 5 years to play 4. So the 5 is off. Now you got 4. Okay. At the D2 level, the 10 semester thing, you are going to school. So 2 semesters are gone from your clock. Okay. Now, medical red shirt is something that you can only get after you've exhausted your eligibility, and that's based on an injury that affected your clock. And that's where you submit that I had a catastrophic injury, and you should consider that and have a hardship for me based on my injury. A lot of people assume they get a medical red shirt. You can't get a medical red shirt until it's granted to you based on you submitting through your compliance department a catastrophic injury waiver. To be considered by a group at the NCAA, and they reinstate something on your clock based on the injury.
Okay. That sounds that sort of makes it nice and concise. How important is academics or good grades for a student athlete, and is there more importance for an international player to have good grades or to have better grades?
Well, academics is, and it's not just talk, man. It's vitally important. It should be important because if you're not in college to get a degree and to advance yourself as a person academically, then you probably shouldn't be there. Now, there are some people that go to college as a means to an end. Maybe they are elite of the elite athletically. That's a very infinitesimal amount of people that they're going to go pro pretty quick. And they got to go to college for that purpose. They're in such a small group, but getting good grades is essential because if for no other reason, if you want to play, you got to be eligible. And there are standards of achievement that you have to maintain and achieve in order to be eligible the next year. So that's the fastest way for me to pull your scholarship. You didn't meet the academic standards, you're gone. Yep. That's it. You're out of there. Now, is it more important for an international kid? Yeah, probably, because, I know for me as a coach, it's harder for me to invest in someone. It costs more money to have an international kid on your roster. We have insurance costs that are like here at Tyler. I've got 2 international kids. It's costing me $6,000 above everybody else, above their scholarships, just for their international insurance.
Jeez.
Yeah. So you have that. Some places, your scholarship can count a scholarship and a half, depending on how it's set up for international students. For us here at UT Tyler, an international student's no different than an out-of-state Texas kid. But a lot of schools, the international kid costs more money to your scholarship. That being said, if I'm investing that much money, you are obviously really, really important to me. If you are not serious about academics and being eligible, why would I invest that amount of money in somebody when I could go get a local kid, probably cut my costs by about 33% and have a better student? So yeah, it's critically important.
Man, that is crazy. And then, still touching on the grades, can you play, or I know the answer, but can you play or practice and not be academically eligible?
You can't play, you can practice.
Okay.
You can practice, depending on where you're at academically, but if you're not eligible, you can practice, but you cannot play unless you meet those standards.
For the NCAA.
And now if you're coming out of high school and you're not eligible, you have to go junior college or prep school to go D1, not D2. You just have to meet their university entrance requirements.
Okay. Last couple questions, Coach, and I really appreciate your time. And as I said,
I enjoy it, man.
What's the basic life fundamental skills a student should have before coming into college?
I think it's a great question. I think it's not much different than going to work, right? Getting a job. You should have a basic fundamental understanding of human decency and good human behavior. It always helps if you look people in the eye, if you're a good listener, if you're not an excuse maker, if you can say a couple of really simple words, please and thank you. Those are really, really important things I look for, that you are respectful to people, particularly people in authority and your elders, your parents. Watch that type of behavior. Bottom line is you're coming into an organization. And what a kid has to understand is college athletics in America is a business, okay? It's millions and millions of dollars involved in this. These decisions are that people are investing in your future. If I'm going to invest in you, you need to have the human skills of being a good person that I can depend on. Somebody that I know you're going to be where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, doing what you're supposed to be doing on time, every time, no excuses. And if I can't trust you to do that, I'm less likely to invest in you, okay, and in your future. So I think, having basic human decency skills is really important. You have to grow up really fast because you're not at home anymore, right? And again, hopefully you've chosen a place where the coaching staff is invested in you and they're going to help you to do that. You're around people that are going to help you to do it. But being mature. Discipline, a lot of coaches I've heard define it as doing what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, as well as you can do it, on time, every time. That's discipline. That's what we're trying to get you to, right? Be where you're supposed to be in class. Be dependable. Get up when you're supposed to get up. Have a good work ethic. Want to get better. No matter where you're at, no matter whether you're down here or up here as a player, student, or person, want to improve. We call it a PSA, a person, a student, and an athlete. Want to be the best person, student, and athlete you could possibly be. Having that desire, not only the want, but the will to work to do it. Those are the things that are really, really important. Anymore, it's really difficult to be a pain in the foot and stick around, man. So if you're not a good person, you're not gonna last. And the way it works is you better be better than your problems. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dude, I'm gonna have to look at you and go, yeah, you missed class again. Yeah, but he's okay. We're gonna work with you. You know what I'm saying? You better be better than your problems. You that guy averaging 1 rebound a game and you're on the scout team, you better have a 3.5. Okay. You better be to class early. You better be to the gym early. Not that the guys that score more and rebound more don't have to do, the basic things. But the truth is, in life, you got to be better than your problems or you're going to get fired. So me too. They're going to make an assessment. Are you worth it? Be worth it. Be worth it. Be worth it. Be worth the investment that university is making in your future.
I love it. Yeah, definitely. Here's a fun one for you. What type of relationships do coaches have with parents? So can a parent call you whenever they feel they need to, or, little Jimmy, mom hasn't heard from little Jimmy and she's worried because he said he texted her last week and he said he was tired or whatever, or he hasn't had enough playing time. So, can mom phone you and have a discussion about it? Like, what's the relationship there?
And I've been around a long time. I've worked for some coaches that there's no relationship with parents. Like, no. It's like your job. Your mom and dad can't call your employer talking about you got to do a better job with him and whatever. I'm different. I am very different because I'm a mama's boy.
Okay.
My mother, I'm one of 10 children to my mom, and my mother means everything to me. And I always look at kids and their moms particularly, and I see my mom. My mom wouldn't call my coach, but I know my mom wants the best for me. So here's what I tell parents. You can call me 24/7. 24/7. And as long as the conversation's about your kid and nobody else's kid, I will talk to you till the cows come home. The minute you start discussing somebody else, well, why ain't he playing over something? Nah, yeah, see, we don't do that. Okay. And I'm only, and here's what I'm going to talk to you about basketball. I get paid really good money to coach, and you get paid really good money to do something else. I'm not going to talk to you about what you do and how you do it. And I would like that same respect.
Same courtesy.
If you ask me a question, be prepared for an answer, because I'm going to give you the truth. Why isn't little Bobby playing? Well, little Bobby can't hit the broadside of a barn when he shoots it. He can't defend a parked car. He's a sweet spirit, though. And only time he dribbles is when he has too much food in his mouth. I said, so, other than that, he's doing great. And I played you know what I'm saying? So don't ask me the question unless you know. Unless you know you want the true answer. But yes, feel free to call me at any time, because the one thing we have in common is the love for your child. And I know for a fact that you want the best for your child. And I'm the person you're entrusting to take care of your child. And I tell every parent, you absolutely have carte blanche to call me anytime you want. And I will reach out to parents at least once a semester directly to each parent and say, hey, this is where we're at. This is what's going on. How are things? That kind of thing. So it's really funny. Parents love me until we start the season and you play, and then parents don't talk to you, depending on, how their baby being treated. So
that's funny. That is funny. What advice would you give to parents that are concerned, that are concerned for their kid that's like thousands of miles away? What have you got any? Have you got any things?
And I'm a spiritual person, so I would say number one, let go and let God. Find the person that you trust to stand in your stead, that you trust to love your child. And no one's going to love them the way you love them, but that's going to love your child and develop them as a person, a student, and an athlete. And maybe not treat them the same as somebody else, but treat them fairly, right? Find that person, and then let go and let God. Trust the process. And try to communicate, leave the basketball, make that, even though that's important to your kid, make that secondary to how they're doing as a person. Give them the outlet. They already got a lot of pressure on them, because of, coaches and expectations. Be there for them and help them as a person, and let them tell you what they need. Try not to play like you're a coach. Try to keep it to where you're just talking to them, and if they want to talk about basketball, then do that. But you trusted the coach. You're involved in the process. You got to trust the process. And if that coach is honest, they're going to tell you every day is not going to be great. I tell parents all the time, he's going to call you a few times during the year and tell you, Coach Wilson, that man that we all love, he ain't that guy. He yelled at me. Yeah, I'm going to get on it. I'm going to be tough on it. But here's the thing. The passion that I have for your son is my passion. That my passion is driven by my desire for his greatness. That I'm going to coach your son the way that I'm going to treat him and coach him the way I would treat my own son. If he's hungry, I'm going to feed him. If he needs me at any hour of the night, I guarantee you I got his back. And he doesn't just have me for now. No matter how this ends up, he's got me for as long as God blesses me with air in my body. Okay? So you're going to know that he's with somebody that's going to love and care for him. And it's not going to be easy on him, because life's not going to be easy on him. And there are going to be days he doesn't like me very much. Maybe there's going to be months where he doesn't like me. But know that he doesn't like me, but I love him. And you got to trust that. And if you trust that, then things can work well. The boy you send me can be a man that you can be proud of.
Coach, I'm hoping I get a letter of intent so I can sign, man. I'm ready to sign up after that, man. I'm ready to go.
Man, well, you look like you swole. I need a power forward. You look like a double screen right now.
There you go. I bought somebody out. You know what I mean? I got you, man. Send me the paperwork.
There you go.
Second to last question, and this one's it's a sticky one, I call it. Especially dealing with a lot of kids, you know, international and domestic. And we know at 18, 19, and so forth, there's a lot of distractions around these kids. And we're talking about drugs, alcohol, and relations, you know, mixing up with the opposite sex and stuff. So can you let us know what these kids should be aware of, what the perils are, and the best way of dealing with it?
Yeah, great question. It's life, right? It's life. That's what you're going to go through. And whether you go to college or not, the trappings of life are wherever you're at. And what you have to decide is what's important to you. If drugs, alcohol, party, and as Biggie, you know, Biggie said, party, and you know, if that's where you're at, if that's your mentality, you don't need to come all the way across the globe for that. Every country on earth has all of that in abundance. If you're going to come all the way across the globe, it's to do something special with your life. And there are going to be those distractions. They're going to be there. And if you want to have a good time in a good, clean way, you should. There's nothing wrong with fraternization. There's nothing wrong with going to a party, as long as you understand what you have on the table, okay? What do I have to lose? What am I in this for? I'm not drinking in excess or drinking underage and risking this opportunity that I have. I'm not putting any drugs in my body and breaking any laws of the land as a foreign student who could be deported like overnight. I'm not taking that risk. As far as relations, I'm not going to do anything disrespectful. If I'm a young man, I treat her like a queen, even if she's not acting like a queen, okay? I don't take anything that's not given to me. I show ultimate respect. If I'm a young lady, stay focused and know what people are about. Stay focused on your deal. There are trappings everywhere. Cambodia, if I'm in Cambodia, the same things that are here are there. You have to decide what's important to you. And if academics, if the PSA thing, being a good person, being a really good student who graduates, and being a superior athlete on a good team are important to you, then we'll know that not by what you say, but by what you do and how you prioritize your life. And if based on that schedule I gave you a little while ago, if you got time for all of that, we need to increase some of those hours. And we will. I'm like, so, and we will. And my thing, I only have 2 team rules. Be on time and do what's right. And when you can't define what what's right is, then I'm in your life a little more than you want, because that means I have to help define that for you. Everybody knows what on time is because there's a clock and everybody needs to be on time. And doing what's right is serving the purpose of we. In our program, we is winning every way, winning as a person, winning as a student, winning as an athlete, doing winning things. If you're serving the purpose of me, you're in the wrong program. If you're serving the purpose of we, then you're doing the right thing. So I just ask my guys this, before you do anything, I just want to ask you, are you serving the purpose of we or the purpose of me? Real simple. If it's the purpose of we, you're going to do the right thing. If it's the purpose of me, you might make a mistake. And then I'm going to be more involved in your life. You don't want me in your life, then don't do things, the wrong thing. Do the right things and be on time.
Hey, Coach, man, I'm waiting for, I'll give you my fax number. You can fax that paperwork.
Dude,
over.
you still messing with fax machines? A dude loving Busta Rhymes, you probably are still love fax machines. Busta Rhymes and fax machines go together.
That's crazy. Coach, before I let you go, completely up to you, but is there anything that you'd like to tell us about your school and your program for anyone that, is interested and wants to play D2 or, has listened to you and interested in your program?
Yeah, first off, I thank you for this. The first thing I would say is not so much about our program, is if you have a dream, I don't care where you're from, who you are, don't let anybody tell you you can't do something. If you have a dream, you pursue that with every fiber of your being. Don't let anything stop you. Don't use any excuse, because you can either have success or you can have excuses, but you can't have both. So get to work on it, go for it. In terms of the University of Texas, Tyler, it's a tremendous academic university. It's associated with the University of Texas, a sister school in Austin. We're in Tyler, Texas, which is about an hour and a half east of Dallas. It's a town of about 120,000 people. It's a great place. Texas is the people of Texas consider it God's country, in America, right? There are 49 states, and then there's Texas. Texas is a phenomenal place to be in this country. It's one of the great places in America. We play in the Lone Star Conference, which is one of the premier men's basketball leagues in the United States. We compete at the Division II level, but you have to be of a Division I ability to play well in this league, because it is I coached the Division I level for 23 years. This league is a Division I league. It's a Division I caliber basketball league. And the reason why I think we're a great place to go to school is because we've got great academics in a great place, in a great state, and you're going to be loved and cared for. You're going to be challenged more than you've ever been challenged, but you're going to be with family. You're going to be with people who are going to hold you accountable and who are going to have high expectations for you and going to develop a plan for you. It's a great place to go to school. If you want to go to University of Texas at Tyler, I would love to hear from you. We're on the rise in the Lone Star Conference. We're all about winning every way, winning as a person, winning as a student, and winning as an athlete. And I'd love to be in your life if you have the character and the talent to do good things on a basketball court.
Coach, I appreciate it. Looking forward to meeting up with you when this COVID thing dies down and hanging out, hopefully grabbing some food and kicking back. And
yeah, man, and talking hip hop, trying to help you out, my guy. Trying to help you out.
Have you heard the Busta album yet? Yes or no?
No. Have you? Busta
I
lost
sent it to you. I sent it to you personally.
Busta lost like 100 pounds. It's like
the flow's better now, right?
Yo, I don't know. It's like Solomon when he lost his hair. It's like, I don't know if that maybe that weight, he might not be able to. What's that verse? I love that verse.
Look at me now.
Look at me now. That is one of the great hip hop verses of all time. No question.
By one of the.
I'm not sure he was really saying anything other than. So I don't know if he actually was saying and spitting any lyrics. But I tell you what, behind that beat, look at me now. Yo, that was fire right there. Okay, so him and CB, they did that thing. Okay, so, I give you that. But Busta being one of the top 5 MCs of all time, as you believe.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
100%, man. I Busta Rhymes versus anybody, it'll be a long day for the other.
Listen, man, you need to be cheering for the Beatles and Seal. Maybe even Adele. I'm like, what are you on Busta for?
Oh, I hope it's warm in your igloo.
Hey, I gotta go get my dog sled going.
Coach, fantastic to have you on again, and no doubt we will catch up soon.
My name is Lewis Wilson. I'm the head men's basketball coach at the University of Texas at Tyler in Tyler, Texas, at the Lone Star Conference. And we have been vibing on EuroStepping.
Appreciate you watching the EuroStepping.
I want to thank everybody for watching EuroStepping.
Watching the EuroStepping.
The EuroStepping.
The EuroStepping.
You've been watching the EuroStepping.
The EuroStepping.
EuroStepping.
You've been watching the EuroStepping, a great podcast show hosted by Coach D.